Since the Sandbox fans, we're in October. You know we're repping pink. Week 5 of the NFL season is upon us. What that also means is it's Power Rankings week, baby. Let's go. We're fired up. We got bye weeks coming in. We got trade talks happening in the NFL right now. Twan's off of a bender from Penn State. What a time to be alive, man.
We're alive. We made it, man. What a travel. What a game.
UFC 307 this week.
Yeah, we got
Twan's all fired up.
We get some big stuff. October's a good month.
Yeah.
October's always a good month.
Very good month. And things start to heat up in the NFL. Things start to change. But first and foremost, I think it's only right we start the episode. Congratulations to us. 50,000 downloads is huge. We love that. Thank you guys for tuning along every single week, making sure that you're getting all the fantasy insight, analysis, and just a couple of goombas shooting the shit. Yep. No better way to get your rankings. Bunch of injuries again in the NFL this week. Rashee Rice one is like iffy because I feel like people were saying like hyperextension ACL. Like I saw confirmed ACL and now like everyone's like pause. Yeah, so like I hope that don't happen because that was friendly fire. And like I know you say like the officials and everything like that. He's getting some shit luck with like the injuries and shit like that this year. Along with that, Jonathan Taylor, he's not in the rankings this week because of the injury scenario. Calling it a mild ankle sprain and then just kind of rolling him out this week. Like, I just didn't really know how to kind of go about that. Christian Watson looked nasty, but it's only a couple of weeks. I thought for sure it was an ACL. And Anthony Richardson, man, this dude can't stay on the field. And the Colts still won. Flacco.
Yeah, but here it is. It's going to be the Flacco thing again. We're like, oh my God, the Colts are super competitive, and Joe Flacco did it again.
Yeah, I know. Hey, you know what was even more of a crazy conversation this week? Look at the past three, Jets quarterbacks and who they were, and now look at like what they're doing in the NFL. It's like actually like mind blowing.
Darnold. I mean, we're not talking about Zach Wilson.
No, Flacco. Gino, yeah.
Arnold's obviously one of them, and then
there's another one too. I'm completely drawing a blank, but no, I mean it goes to show you how organizations impact that. Let's keep in mind there's bye weeks this week. No Lions, Eagles. The Eagles fucking needed that.
Eagles stink.
Yeah, they do. Titans, Chargers, all on bye weeks. You won't hear any of those guys on the rankings. Thursday Night Football, we have a good game. Bucks in Atlanta. You guys know I won't be giving you the Thursday games. So this list really got crunched down real quick, week 5. So we had some fun through the first 4 weeks and things like that. We got the pink on. You guys can get your shirts on Friday. It was a very limited amount of our born and raised in Eastie pink shirts. So when we put those out there, you make sure you get on those real quick. And just want to talk about some waivers before we get into, the other big news around the NFL. You have some guys that you want to talk about?
Yeah, first and foremost, it's Kareem Hunt. If he's not on a team yet, you got to scoop him up. He's going to play that role. He's going to take it, and he's probably going to have a lot of success with the Chiefs. They're probably going to look to him a lot as the season continues to progress, all depending on how Rashee Rice ends up turning out with this injury.
Yeah, I mean, I really didn't think that they handed it to Kareem Hunt either. It's just like 3 straight games of a fumble from Carson Steele. Like, what do you really expect out of that? Trey Sermon, if Jonathan Taylor is missing some time, Sermon would be the next guy. Tutu Atwell, he's the receiving option to own for the LA Rams. It might not, come in the bulk of 6-7 catches. I know there's still some iffy information about, Cooper Kupp, and he's not on IR, so when the hell was he coming back? But Atwell's the guy, and Jordan Addison and Wan'Dale Robinson both had, like, really big weeks for their respective teams. Wan'Dale Robinson and Malik Neighbors seem to be the only guys in the offense producing, so if Daniel Jones is dropping back 25 times, expect that to be, a split on the target share. And, we talked about Jalen Naylor a couple weeks ago. I mean, dude still kind of put up. He caught a touchdown and everything like that. But Jordan Addison had 2, came back into, the offense very, smoothly. And damn, these Minnesota Vikings are good, man. I'm dying to hear where you have them on the power rankings. You
might have to wait a little bit.
Yeah.
Goddamn, these Minnesota Vikings, they're real deal. And like this doesn't look like a fluke. Like they look like they're cooking. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
A couple other names I wanted to throw out there. Dontavian Wicks gets a huge target share. So if he's on the waivers, you got to get him. Jordan Love's always looking for this guy. They're designing plays specifically for him.
Yeah.
Sometimes he makes the plays, sometimes he doesn't, but I expect he gets better and better.
Especially with Watson.
100%. Josh Downs, another guy. very active in that Colts offense. If you didn't draft him because he wasn't healthy, you pick him up now because he's very, very effective. He gets open. He's fast. He's a really good receiver, really good fit for that team. Plays the A.D. Mitchell role a little bit better than A.D. Mitchell does.
Yeah,
so, that's just what it is. And lastly, Gomes, I'm going to take care of your guy, Xavier Legette. I mean, this dude's legit as hell. He's a super talented guy, and with Andy Dalton throwing him the ball, if he gets open, the ball's going to get put on him.
Absolutely. Week 5 fantasy football rankings.
Let's do it.
Tight ends. Kind of felt like we see some names back in this list a little bit this week. I'm going to start here at 10. This is where I got Hunter Henry going against Miami. Just think like he's the most consistent pass catcher for the Pats. I actually think it's going to be a competitive game between those two teams. Not that that's saying anything great at this moment in time.
Nice, but like 6-3.
No. I actually think like they'll score points too. Like I think Achane plays well. I think Henry can catch some balls. 9, I got Likely going against Cincinnati. Honestly, if I'm a Mark Andrews owner, like I'm not wasting my time on him no more. Like, pick up a Fryermuth, pick up a Zach Ertz. Those guys are getting consistent target shares. It might not be for the fantasy points that you want, but we just need to understand the expectation and the results for this position throughout the entire NFL are just, different. So keep that in mind. 8, I got Gesicki going against Baltimore. Interested to see what that division matchup's like. I know we're going to talk about that quite a bit throughout this episode. 7, I have Fryermuth. Had 17 last week. Sunday Night Football is going to be electric. I think Dallas and Pittsburgh is going to be a good game. I think that Dallas is going to put up some points, so if Pittsburgh can't figure things out offensively, then there's going to be some problems. And I just kind of feel like my reluctancy of picking Pittsburgh to win, shout out to Will, is because of the offense. Look, I don't care how great of a defense that you are. If you're down 2 touchdowns, they have no answers on how to get back. But with the Davante Adams news, I actually do feel like Pittsburgh's a very likely destination. They missed out on Ayuk. Cooper's not going to get traded inside the division. The Raiders aren't going to give Kansas City Davante Adams.
They're not. I don't think they really start sending guys much. Like AFC is a tricky one to get, except for like Pittsburgh's a lot different because it's a very competitive division over there.
Yeah.
Like Buffalo's another team that I just don't think the Raiders are going to want to deal them to. I think that I like the Pittsburgh pick a lot. I've heard people say KC too. It's not happening. Right?
Also,
we know that.
Saints. Watch out for the New Orleans Saints. Derek Carr connection again. I know that they're a team that's strapped financially, but I always just feel like it's the most underthought of team to actually like make this move. And I know people are going to say the Ravens. Look, the Ravens are done with their big veteran move like wide receivers. They got Zay. He's their one, and clearly we know what their offense is. Like it's Derrick Henry. We saw that. Buffalo saw that. I actually feel like the Pats would make an offer for Davante, but I just think at this point in his career, he's not going to want to make that.
He's not staying in Vegas, dude. He's not.
No, and people wanted to talk about like Washington, like that was something that Lou had mentioned. I think it makes sense, but like if Terry's not getting the ball enough, then like why would you just add another piece of that? And you also traded away a wide receiver, so dying.
What's Davante Adams gonna do? Just going in there like take a Jahan Dotson role?
No, and the Eagles are in no scenario to be doing that, and they have an abundance at that position specifically.
Atlanta could be a destination.
I would love Atlanta. I don't know if that's going to happen. I think Atlanta would be the best fit out of all of it. I do just think Pittsburgh's the most likely destination. But we will see what happens. Amari Cooper's another name that'll be mentioned in those trade conversations, along with DeAndre Hopkins, especially with the way things are going in Tennessee. But that's all we know about those guys. I wanted to elaborate on Davante a little bit more, and I'm sure we might get to that again. And to finish up the back end of the rankings, 6, I have McBride. I'm expecting him to play. I'm expecting a lot of the guys that were banged up due to injury that were off the list to play this week. Going against San Francisco, I think everybody thinks San Francisco is, going to blow them out, especially with the way Arizona's been playing, while people had expectations on them to probably play a little bit better. I think they're going to keep this close. I saw it was close, like around like an 8-point spread. That might be a little too much, but if not, then like Arizona just really isn't the team that we kind of thought that they were going to be.
And it's crazy because they go out and they have a competitive game to Detroit, and then they get smacked by Washington. Maybe Washington is that good.
Yeah.
I bet you'll love to call the NFC East twice in a row. So,
bro, I do the shit.
A couple of similar names. So Hunter Henry at 10, again, best pass catching option, like the matchup against Miami. Then I got Pitts here at 9. I just think the skill is there, and I know you don't do Thursday games, or I'm sure Pitts would be in the top 10 just based off of sheer talent and sometimes lackluster tight end play that we've seen this year. 8, Colby Parkinson. I think he's a really good option for that Rams team. I think he's a top 10 guy. 7, Jake Ferguson. Really, really good player.
It's a little low for Fergie.
Dude, I think that this Pittsburgh defense is very, very tricky, man, especially if you're going to have a safety cover him like Minka. I don't think it works out as well as you think. I think he's going to get a couple of catches. Don't know if he gets in the end zone.
I personally feel like Dallas is going to do everything they can to take CD out of it, and that's why I just think Fergie might be the guy. If you line up one-on-one with Minka, yeah, that would be like a problem, no doubt, but that would leave Dante Jackson on CD, and he would eat that.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, it could be Joey Porter, which he would also eat up.
Yeah.
Like, there's one of those things where I could also see Pittsburgh playing the game where it's like, all right, dude, if it's going to be CD, it's going to be CD, but it's going to be no one else. But we'll see how it goes. I don't like this matchup for Dallas. Like I've said all year, I just don't think Dallas is that good. I don't think they're well coached. I don't think they're well disciplined. I think it's Dak and CD, and I think the rest of the team is having some problems.
Can pick up Dowdle on the waivers, though. Dude, he's their back.
He's good. He is their back. Love to see that. 7, I had Fergie, and 6 right there with the Ad McBride. I think he's a talented guy, but let's just see what Arizona does. It's hard for me to put him up there.
Absolutely. You got some names I don't have in it, so I'm interested to hear your top 5, especially because my list is a little bit more condensed than yours is. 5 is where I have Kincaid going against Houston. Dying to see how this goes. Houston doesn't lose at home, but Buffalo isn't looking to drop 2 in a row and then get, the same type of conversations around Sean McDermott and, they were a fluke and this and that. So Kincaid at 5. 4 is where I have Fergie going against Pittsburgh. I just think he's a reception machine, and if you're in a PPR league, he's going to catch the ball 6 times. It might not be for a $107 every single time, but if you can scrape 8 points away, especially if you're getting 6 just on catches without the yards, that's a great start. 3, this is where I have Kittle. Didn't have Kittle in the rankings last week. I know he was a little bit banged up. Still had a huge week. Everybody for San Francisco had a huge week.
Right.
But going against Arizona, I just think, he's kind of been more of the consistent passing option, or the most consistent passing option. Ayuk had a week, Debo had a week, Jawan Jennings had a week, but Kittle's been the same consistent player for them. 2 is where I have Bowers, and 1 is where I have Kelsey. Monday night, a little bit different. Tyrann Mathieu is a bit banged up, so I'm interested to see how that works out. I know Kansas City will play this game close. I don't think the Saints are going to blow them out of the water. I think it is going to be low scoring. After the Saints really lit up the scoreboard the first couple weeks, things have really settled down, and they held Atlanta to not an offensive touchdown. That was huge, but you can't give up 2 defensive or special teams touchdowns. So that's a huge part of that division, and that game can go either way, going forward. And this Thursday game can go either way as well. But I just do think there's no other options for Kansas City. It's Kelsey or bust. I do think Worthy will have a bit of an uptick, and they'll be active in the trade conversations, but have to put Kelsey at 1 by default.
Totally agree. Steve at 5, I'm buying into the hype. We've talked about this guy as a waiver wire pickup. Talked about having him in a possible split tight end field. Tucker Kraft.
Okay.
I like the Tucker Kraft's game, man. I like he's gritty, and I think that Green Bay, when you block and you do all the right things, Matt LaFleur likes to find a way to get you the ball. And I think that Tucker Kraft has a place in that offense. He seems like the guy over Musgrave right now.
That's a team I like this week, by the way. I like Green Bay this week.
Love Green Bay. 4, Kelsey. I think he's going to get actively involved. He's in here. You got to get him the ball. He has struggled, but they're going to scheme up things specifically this week for him, so I expect him to have a pretty good week. 3, got Brock Bowers. Sheer talent is just there. They had a tough time getting him the ball this week, but I think Denver's just one of those teams that they're going to pick a guy and they're going to stop you from giving him the ball.
One of the top fantasy defenses right now and available in a bunch of leagues. So I feel like this is the point in time where you really want to assess your kickers and your defenses. I know the Chargers are on a bye week, but that's a defense I like to hold on to just because Jim Harbaugh football, I think that they're going to be pretty sound defensively regardless of the personnel. But I mean, that's a team a lot of people don't want to take the shot on the defense, but they've held a lot of teams to low-scoring games with not a lot of talent on that side.
100%. Totally agree. Steve at 2 is where I got Kincaid. Super talented player. They tried to get him the ball early last week, and often they just kind of ran into a situation where Baltimore figured him out early. I think they actively try and get Kincaid in this week. And at 1, I got Kittle, dude. This dude has just been a monster.
Balling, yeah.
Fantasy this year.
Absolutely. Before we go over to the quarterbacks, just want to talk about some teams that I like this week. I do think that the Jets can give... I feel like every single time we have a London game, it's sloppy. Like, I don't know if, like, they're there the whole week, so I don't even want to say that they're adjusting to, like, the time and stuff, but this has game for the Jets to make up, like, written all over it, especially where the Vikings are due for a loss, and let's see if Sam still sees ghosts when he sees the New York Jets, you know?
We'll see, because also, every single week I think I've picked against the Vikings in our picks, and every week they've made me pay.
Yeah.
And, I look at this, and I'm like, do I think Vikings are the better team this year? 100%. Do I think they're due for the loss? Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea this is going to shake out. So
yeah.
We'll see when we get to pick times on Sunday.
A couple other teams that I like, Cowboys. I just kind of briefly talked about that with Fergie. The Browns. I think the Browns get right this week. We talked about that in the pre-show. Missed the pre-show.
Mm-hmm.
Bengals and Green Bay. I do. Sorry, Anthony. I said Bengals really quickly. We're gonna keep it that way. But Green Bay. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll double down on the Bengals just for Anthony.
Oh, real quick. Yeah. Real quick.
Love Green Bay as well. I like New England this week. I think that they have. Listen, they're going to win some games. I get it. They're not the best team in the NFL. I get it. They're not a top 20 team in the NFL. But what they are is consistent. They want to beat you with the run game, and they want to hold you to lower points on defense. And San Fran didn't score a ton of offensive touchdowns. They put the ball in the end zone on defense. But I think Miami is having such bad struggles. I think that Patriots defense is still a good defense. It's going to cause problems for Huntley. We always lock up Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill's not really an issue for the New England Patriots a lot, especially we saw that with Gonzalez.
Seems like everyone's locking up Tyreek Hill.
It is. Look at that. Look at that.
Everyone except the government.
Yeah, straight up. That's good work. That's great work right there. I love New England this week, though. I think Miami's the most beatable run defense in the league right now. Maybe Dallas.
Oh, quarterbacks. Starting off the list, I do have Darnold. I defaulted to Darnold over Rodgers. I felt like they both could have been here. I don't think either of them are going to have a 20-point week. I don't think either of them are going to have 2 passing touchdowns, which would destroy Sam Darnold's streak of 2 passing touchdowns per game for this entire season. I think it's a 17-13 field goals are going to win. Dying to know what the weather conditions are going to be like because I don't have the London weather just on my phone. Right. I mean, I have it on my phone. I just don't look at it. So,
Hotspur Stadium isn't a dome, right?
No. Yeah, we get some elements out there. 11, Kyler going against San Francisco. Kyler's been good enough to still stay relevant on the back end of this rankings, but I don't love the San Francisco matchup, and I feel like he's really kind of been struggling, so want that to kind of get corrected a little bit. 10, I mean, we're talking about a condensed short list this week for me, Justin Fields. Justin Fields has passed the ball pretty efficiently, even though they don't have the most prolific passing options. Pickens has kind of silently done his thing this year. They don't have a passing touchdown, I think, for the exception of Freiermuth this past week.
Darnell Washington is the only other one.
Yeah, so like tight ends, not even to the wide receivers. Really disappointing in the ground game with the exception of Cordell Patterson, who did just leave with an injury. So it's like, what's going to go on here?
I kind of disagree. Like,
bro, I'm over Najee, bro.
The fantasy production, sure, but they do have an effective ground game. Pittsburgh wins the game running the ball 3 yards. 2 yards, 5 yards, 2 yards, 5 yards.
Bro, he had 9 yards at the half.
Yeah, I know, but they do this. But like the game before, people are saying like, "Oh, he didn't play that well." Well, he also had 80. He had 80 rushing yards. He just didn't get in the end zone for your fantasy team. I think it's going to be all right. I also think Indy. Listen, they knew what Pittsburgh wanted to do, and we've been saying it all week. Pittsburgh was due for that loss. They got it.
Yeah.
I think Pittsburgh's going to get right again against Dallas. I do have Pittsburgh over Dallas.
We'll see what happens. But confident in Fields. I like the rushing ability to add there. They get to a high floor, low ceiling type of a player. And on the opposite side of that, at 9, this is where I have Dak in that same game. I do know how good TJ Watt is, especially with the struggles Dallas is having. I just have to think that, like, you have to game plan for this. Like, you know you're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, I even think, like, this is a game where, like, you get the coin toss and you're choosing to receive the ball first so they can play from behind right away. That's just kind of how I feel. 8, Geno going against the Giants. This is a tough game for the Giants to travel West Coast and play a hungry Seattle team. Not really looking good for the Giants this week. 7, Brock Purdy going against Arizona. Purdy's been playing pretty solid. I don't know if you saw some conversations this week. He was talking about him being faster than guys like Debo, Ayuk, and they pulled up his 40 split from the combine, and it actually was, which is like shocking. You want to talk?
Love
Yeah,
dude, the way he was like making plays and just running around, and then they had like 3 flags in a row against the Pats.
Yeah.
But he was just running around on every play, making a miracle happen flag, making a miracle happen flag. It was like, dude, this Brock Purdy guy, like, he's gonna earn his dough.
Yeah,
he
is.
San Fran's fucked because they can't buy anyone else.
Dying to see like how that all goes, because I don't know if you also saw, but there was a conversation this week about, really, jeopardizing the future and going all in for the number 1 overall pick. And now you look at a team like Carolina, you look at a team like Jacksonville, that have done that in recent history. And now you just go and see like these veteran quarterbacks that you get on like a 1-year, $7 million deal like Baker, a 2-year, $14 million like a Sam Darnold, and Geno Smith and Flacco, and these journeymen. They understand schematics and the mental aspect of football drastically differently than a lot of these new guys, with the exception of Jaden Daniels, who is just breaking all the records and rules that come with the quarterback position.
2nd overall pick seems the place to be right now. You got Stroud. You got Daniels back-to-back years.
Yeah.
Let's see how it works out, because it's 2 quarterbacks right off the bat off the board. It's going to be Shador. It's going to be Quinn Ewers. It's going to be Jackson Dart. Like, it's going to be all these guys. So.
Maybe a Cam Ward. I do know that like I was watching McAfee today, and they were talking like Boston Connor was talking specifically like, if the Patriots have like one of those picks, how do they pass up Travis Hunter? And I'm like, I get it, but like they'll just end up trading that. There's no way that like Travis Hunter would.
I don't know, man. I could see the Patriots being a guy that's like, hey, let's just play him on both sides, like see which one he's better at in OTAs and stuff, and then we'll just put him there.
Yeah, or I mean, like maybe he plays 3rd down package on defense, and you have him as a wide. I don't know where you think he's more like prolific. I kind of feel like he's
talk to him and see what he wants to do, and then you have to gauge what your team need is. So there's going to be a couple factors that go into that, but
I think he could play both sides. I don't think he could play both sides every single down.
Of course not. Absolutely not. I think he can sell some fucking jerseys too.
Yeah.
That's a good guy to have on your team to sell some jerseys.
For sure.
So, Steve, I'm going to kick it off at 12. Dak Prescott, it's low for where you had him, but again, I'm sticking to my guts here. I just think it's a tough matchup for them with TJ Watt and the Pittsburgh Steelers coming after him. 11, I got Geno. Again, like the matchup this week, it's going to be tricky, but the Giants did have a little bit extra time to rest and prepare, so
hopefully.
I think they saw that.
Singletary will get right.
Singletary, he absolutely will. And I didn't think the teams were going to be able to run the ball really well against
They're hurt,
this
though.
year, but
they're hurt. Leonard Williams is out, Byron Murphy's out, Boye Maffe's out, missing a linebacker. So, I mean, like, when you go against a team like the Lions that are so efficient and effective running the football, it's easy for that defense to look like Swiss cheese.
The Lions are the team that you kind of expect to run all over them, but, like, to see the Pats do it was, like, a little different. But, again.
Yeah. It was a weird one.
It was a weird one.
But
you didn't think it would be a competitive game, and then it just did.
Yeah, I have some stat. I'm not going to talk about it now because we have our power rankings coming up, and you guys have to go and listen to that because it's going to be some fun. But prior to this week, I have some stats I want to talk about with Seattle's defense specifically. It's pretty impressive.
Okay. Hopefully it's on the passing end. 10, Kyler Murray. I think Call of Duty comes out this weekend, so this might be the last time we see him in the rankings.
Might be the last time we see Twan.
I know. I'm going Kyler at 10, though. I think he's just going to have a competitive game here with San Fran. It's just some of these division games are going to get very competitive. 9, I have Baker. I like Baker to play really well this week, but I don't know about the classic, where he's going to have the 300
points.
yards and 2 touchdowns. I don't know about that,
but
I think he's going to do the right things to, he's going to get 20. He's going to get 21.
I love the under for Thursday night.
Yeah, I think so too. Justin Fields at 8. So this is where I have Fields, just a little bit over where you had him. I'm a Fields guy, dude. Like, I like
No,
Justin
I like
Fields,
it. I'm happy it's working out for him, too.
And I think that Dallas is going to say, hey, let's try and shut down the run of these Pittsburgh Steelers, so they're going to focus on Najee and all this. Like, we've had such problems with let's shut down the run. And then they're going to realize, oh, my God, we plan to stop the running backs, not Justin Fields. And I think he's going to scamper this week. And 7, before I kick it back over to you, is exactly the same as yours. I have Brock Purdy here at 7, so
okay.
I just think he's that dude.
6, I got Joe Burrow. That might be a little bit low compared to where you have him. Lamar Jackson is top of this list this week in this divisional matchup. I think the Ravens are gonna have a tough time running the football, especially knowing the clinic that Derrick Henry just put up this week. So I think they're going to say, hey, Lamar, beat us. So I think it's going to be a big Zay week. I do think Chase is going to eat. I think T is going to eat. I think it's going to be like a 27-24 AFC North football game. And this is in Cincinnati, so I feel like that has a bit of an impact too.
King Henry, back-to-back weeks. He went 151, and then he was like 199 last night.
Crazy, bro.
2 nights ago.
Crazy.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, dude's killing it. Single-handedly won me some fantasy weeks this week, so I'm sure you guys all feel that way too. 5 is where I have Stroud. I kind of thought that this was a little bit high for where it is, especially with the way Buffalo's defense has been playing. Their secondary, kind of more specifically, has been impressive for the amount of turnaround that they've had in there. I do think that they'll miss Von Miller a bit this week, knowing that he's suspended for some bullshit. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, Kev. Gotta stop popping the perkies up in Buffalo. 4, I got Jordan Love going against the Rams. I think the Packers are gonna eat. I do think there's gonna be, I don't want to say some bad blood because LaFleur and McVay are obviously boys and stuff like that, but I think the Packers are going to come out and win this game, and just sheer depth and roster and talent is going to be the difference in this one. 3, Jaden Daniels. It's tough to have him outside, even though I do think the Browns get right this week. I don't think he has a passing clinic and throws, for 280 yards. I think it's going to be a game where they're going to have to win by scoring less than 20 points. They're going to focus on B-Rob and Jaden Daniels. I think if Eckler comes back healthy, he'll be a huge component to this game. And I just think, the Browns are a team. It's just kind of they're always somewhat in it in the fourth quarter, and it's so weird and it's so, gross. But this is a team that desperately needs Nick Chubb back. Yep. 2 is Josh Allen in that Houston game. Can't get 2 bad weeks in a row from the guy that's expected to be the MVP favorite at this point in time. And 1, Lamar Jackson. I think he has, enough rushing ability. I don't think it's an 80-yard. I think it's a 50-yard type of rushing game. But definitely at least 1 passing touchdown, if not 2.
For sure. Love it. Steve, at 6 is actually where I have Jaden Daniels. Again, I think he's a stud, and most weeks I'm going to have him in that top 5. But I do think he draws a tough matchup with the Browns this week. Not that the Browns are these world beaters, but this just seems like one of those games. You got the bad feeling where it's going to be competitive. The Browns might sneak it out. We both think so, at least to start the week. Who knows? Things can change. We might see things. But as of right now, I'm leaning Brown, so that just kind of takes a little bit away from the Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
All over the place. 5, I got Jordan Love. This dude he threw 3 picks and he put up
28
numbers,
fantasy points, yeah.
To be able to claw back from that deficit against the Vikings, I like to see that spirit. Makes me think they're going to go out and wallop the Rams this week.
Jaden Reed, man.
Dude, we'll get to Jaden Reed late in this.
Wow.
Season. 4, I got CJ Stroud. I feel very similar to you. It kind of feels a little sketchy, but again, sheer talent, sheer name value, he's got to be up here. 3, Josh Allen. 2, I got Lamar Jackson. And 1, I got Joe Burrow.
Okay.
I think he slings. I think Joe Burrow's, and as far as bets I like this week, I think Joe Burrow's passing yards, anything over 280 yards, I really do think he's going to sling the rock, and I think they're going to have success this week. I think Baltimore has offensive success as well this week too. So, but I just think Joe Burrow is going to be able to get yards on this team.
Crazy. Neither of us had Pat Mahomes in the rankings. That has to be the first time in 4 years.
You just lost the one weapon that I'm he's the guy that he's going to get Mahomes into the rankings again. Dude, this is 4 weeks in a row that he hasn't sniffed 20. He's been 17 or less.
Yeah, it's tough because I still know what he's capable, and every single time he's doubted, he supersedes whatever the expectations are. Just don't know who's going to do it. Sky Moore wasn't catching the ball. I think Mecole Hardman will probably play a little bit more and things like that, but
it's a Kelsey week though. It just kind of seems like it's a Kelsey week. They got to go make a move. You might see a lot of Xavier Worthy. And And I think you'll see Hunt have a couple of plays where he lines up in the slot.
Carson Steele will still touch it. Yeah, Watson, Gray. Those guys' props will be pretty good for a Monday night game for sure. Moving over to the running backs. This is an interesting list. So just outside of the 20 is Jonathan Taylor, just because I don't know where the things stand in injury. Sure. Sermon is not on the list, so like that's just kind of like fully in question at this moment in time. Kareem Hunt just outside too. I think he's going to have the opportunity to do really well this week. But we have two Chicago Bears running backs in here this week. I think going against Carolina, this is definitely a game script that would complement these guys. Roschon Johnson seems to be like, I mean, DeAndre Swift had a good week this past week, so we can't, take anything away from that, but Roschon seems to have a consistent role like in this offense now, gets in the end zone. That's absolutely huge, and I just think when you consider that we're taking out 6 teams and injuries for me, like, we're really down here. So we're making it work. Yeah. 19 is where I got Hubbard in that same game. Like, the volume and the opportunity is great. When they get inside the 5, he's going to get the ball. And if you're someone that went, heavy wide receiver and went light on RB, and I can't imagine that Hubbard's still available in fantasy leagues, but if he is, like, he needs to be owned right now.
He might be a guy that you can look at trading to with the value and what the numbers he's putting up right now. You have Jonathan Brooks is going to come back at some point. I would imagine they're going to work him in the offense. And so I could just see Chuba Hubbard being a guy he's putting up multiple weeks in a row now with 20 plus.
Yeah.
A team that desperately needs a running back will look at that. You might be able to get some value out of that. You might be able to get a wide receiver too out of that.
Potentially. Depends on the move. And I feel like we've been seeing some weird ones in the NFL as of recently, so wouldn't be a shocker. 18 is where I have DeAndre Swift in that same game, so not far from Roschon Johnson. The expectation isn't 10 points a week from DeAndre Swift, if you want me to be honest. Don't listen to those fantasy projections. They get you all the time, I promise you. Most of the teams that are projected to win the week actually don't win the week, and that usually what happens in betting when you got the favorites, and it's like, I'm just going to take Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson, like all these guys, and it's shit.
Score a touchdown. There it goes. It got called back.
Yeah, bro. Honestly, Tyler Algier has been cashing his 25 rush line prop like week in and week out, and that's plus money. So like, I'm cool with taking back like Braylon Allen too. I'm cool with taking the backup running back props. You're welcome. Your boy's been on a heater. Twant's trying to get on that heater.
I'm not on a heater. I'm dying for these picks.
17, Zach Moss. He keeps finding his way into the end zone, man. And like, you might not think that the Bengals have an effective and efficient ground game, but that's one thing I feel like over the past 2 weeks that has been the most significant improvement on their team is the involvement of Chase Brown and Zach Moss. So have him here this week. No Chase Brown on the list, but still play him with confidence in more of that flex spot unless you're dealing with buys, injuries, etc.
Sure.
16, Stevenson does make the list back. I don't think it's over 100, but I think it's 15-ish rushes with an end zone trip. Mm-hmm. I am a little wary about, the fumble-rooskies going on with him because it's just been too consistent for a pro like him.
And dude, it's just one of those things where, like, we'll see right now, is Mayo going to have a little bit of the Belichick in him where he's going to discipline that?
Yeah. Well, that kind of like what got me a little bit wary on this, but with the numbers that we're talking about, he has to be in here. Right above him, Singletary going against Seattle. Only rushed for 20 rushing yards last week going against Dallas. He's going to have over 50, 60 rushing yards this week. And if the Giants get inside the 5, that's a secondary that isn't easily thrown on, so I expect him to sniff the end zone. 14, B-Rob. I actually think it's a little bit low, but just a testament to what we were talking about with Cleveland and how their defense is kind of playing. Garrett really toughened through a really bad injury right now. I know that that's something I guess like he's kind of been dealing with through his career. But B-Rob's a guy that I definitely can trust in fantasy formats, and honestly might have a little bit more faith in than a guy like Achane on a consistent basis. I do have Achane in the rankings at a higher spot this week. I just think he might burn the Patriots D on a big one.
He could. Yeah. I don't have him in there because I'm just
a homer.
Yeah, I'm a homer, and I'm just so out on these Dolphins.
No, yeah, I feel that.
I gotta stick to my fucking guns.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
Them fucking mush for months now.
Yeah, no, you have been. You absolutely have been. 13, Aaron Jones in a London game. I actually like his opportunity to score a tad more than JJ this week, knowing Sauce is probably going to want the challenge. That's not saying that on motions or whatever else that, coverages won't get switched or depicted because of the scheme or whatever the case may be. But Aaron Jones didn't score in Lambeau. Definitely expect him to score this week in London. At 12, James Cook going against Houston. Don't expect a crazy yardage, but I do expect heavy involvement. And Josh Allen's really not rushing it this year, so I do expect James Cook to get in the end zone. Watch, this is the 1 week Josh Allen's going to rush it in. Yeah.
Twice, too.
Yeah, right. And 11, just before we get to the top 10, am expecting a healthy Joe Mixon this week. Okay. Have him in the rankings right above James Cook. Think both of those guys produce very similar numbers.
Awesome. 20, I got ETN. I'm putting him in here because there's always going to be potential, but man, seeing Tank Bigsby have a couple of those big runs, seeing him get the volume that he's getting, it's a little bit weary for Travis Etienne owners. So
I do want to add to that because I am a Travis Etienne owner and felt a little bit weary. I guess the beginning of the game he had like a little stinger or something like that going on with the shoulder. And I mean, he was hot. I mean, Bigsby was averaging 9 yards per rush. So like at that point in time, you kind of have to give it to him. And there's a lot of discomfort coming out of Jacksonville. Obviously, the start of the season wasn't ideal, but I mean, they were beating one of the best teams in the NFL for 3 out of 4 quarters. I think there needs to be like more kind of credit there. And I applaud Doug Peterson. I know that the media has kind of been outlandish on him for like saying like, hey, like the players have to like play better. No fucking shit they do. Like how can a player like in the NFL look in the mirror and be like, yeah, I'm playing my best game, my best football right now. This is on the coaches. Like absolutely no doubt in my mind, and I do not think that his seat should be hot at all. Of anybody. I actually think like Antonio Pierce might have the hottest seat right now.
So yeah, that's not looking good in Vegas.
Yeah, one of your teams, Twan.
I know. Yeah, it is what it is. We're 500. We're chilling. It's gonna be okay.
Okay.
19, I got Bucky Irving. I love the volume this guy gets. I love the grittiness he has. I like the fact that he's kind of the red zone guy at times. Like they get to the red zone, if they're riding Bucky Irving all the way there, they're gonna just let him score. Feel like
Rashad scores this week though. The reason why I think that everyone's gonna see Bucky score big last week. Oh, like he's actually getting it. They'll give it. Yeah. They'll do that, dude. Honestly, the Thursday games and the Monday night primetime games, that's what it is. I'll never bet the favorites on those games anymore unless it's like a blatant one, like CD against the Giants. Like that was blatant,
right?
But like in a game like this, like I'm not taking Bijan and Kamara to score.
No, I'm not. I don't know that I'm taking. What is it? Is it Bucks?
But it's Bucks and Falcons. So
Bucks,
yeah,
Falcons. Okay,
yeah. So I'm not taking Bijan and Mike Evans. Sorry,
dude. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
I don't like Mike Evans in the end zone this week. Not that I don't like him to have some points, but don't like him in the end zone this week. 18, I got Jerome Ford. I think they can run the ball a little bit on the Commanders, and I think it's going to be one of those games where it just stays close for so long. The running backs are going to get volume. 17, I got James Conner.
Just a little low for Conner.
I don't know, man. I don't know about these Cardinals anymore, dude.
Yeah, I feel
I'm a little discouraged.
Feel that.
16, I got Najee. I know you hate him, but
not in the rankings.
I think
don't play him, please. Don't play him.
He's going to be all right this week. He's going to be all right. They're playing a pretty brutal rush defense.
No, I mean they are, and of course because I bet him this week he's going to score.
Yeah, at plus 300 odds.
Is it?
I don't know.
Yeah, Twan's making the odds.
I'm making them all over here.
Twan is Vegas.
Pulling shit out of my ass. Speaking of, Kareem Hunt in the rankings here at 15. Kareem Hunt, man, I think he's going to have a very serious role this week specifically. Game plan without Rashee Rice. I think he might catch a touchdown this week. Something like that. I think we can see Kareem Hunt in the end zone. Put him here at 15. 14, I got Chuba Hubbard. I like Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah?
I'm a big fan.
Like some Chuba?
Love his game. Love the Chuba. And I think he works in the passing game, too. Like, he can catch the ball. If you're playing PPR, he's going to have a couple receptions. Mondre at 13. I'm with you. I think that Antonio Gibson isn't a bad play this week as well. I think he's going to see the rock a lot. Think that this Patriots team is going to have 200-plus rushing yards on Miami.
Okay.
I do. 12, James Cook, exactly where you had him. There's just times where, like, he's clearly the best player on the team, not named Josh Allen, but sometimes he just doesn't get the ball when I'm expecting him to get it. So
he doesn't get like a bulk share. Like he'll never get a volume load like Derrick Henry does. No, he never will.
He doesn't. And I'd like to see him start to get that more, but you know what? Buffalo, outside of this week, they're winning games, dispersing the ball. If that's how they're going to win games, it's how they're going to win games.
Yeah.
And at 11, before I kick it back over to you, Brian Robinson, I feel very similarly. We've said this about the Washington game 10 times already.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to be close.
Absolutely. 10 on the list, Breece Hall. Don't love it, but I do think a touchdown is due this week after not scoring versus the Broncos. I mean, that was a gross game. Like
they tried a bunch of times in the red zone there.
Yeah.
Too.
I mean, he gets the opportunity. So, like, I mean, you should feel safe betting him to score a touchdown this week and playing him in your fantasy lineups. Yep. Look, they're not going to put up 30 burgers every week, guys. So, 9, this is where I have ETN. I think going against the Colts, coming high off of a win, I hate to say a loop, but Jacksonville really might upset them, especially with the way that they played last week. And especially with the discrepancy in ETN, he might get in the end zone twice. I feel like that's how things go in Jacksonville. But BTJ, Brian Thomas Jr.,
dude,
he's legit. And Christian Kirk, who we were kind of close to that panic button, 12 targets, 10 targets, 2 weeks in a row, 22 targets. Love that share. He's a flex player for me in a 12-team league, and I feel really confident about that.
They started really late, but they're starting to kind of figure out who they are again with stuff like that. So I think things are going to start looking a little bit better for Jacksonville, obviously, than they have looked. I mean, they're not going 0-17.
Yeah, no, definitely not. 8 is where I have Connor. I know the San Fran rush defense is pretty stout. I do like his action and involvement in the passing game, but I just think any time that they get inside the 10, like he's their go-to if it's not going to MHJ, if you want me to be honest. 7, HN going against New England. So it's not like crazy high. I do just think like he's kind of due to scamper a big one. The Duggar injury is huge, and that would be like a dude that would prevent that from happening.
It's Peppers now.
What is it?
Hoping it's Peppers.
Oh, that steps in, yeah. But still, I think Achane can bust one, at least get in the end zone. 6, don't love it because Kansas City's defense has been pretty good, but this is where I have Kamara. It's not like I can't have him on the list this week when I'm talking about like a Hubbard and a Roshan Johnson. So like he's gonna be here and he's gonna be high. You're gonna play him with confidence. I'm not expecting 30. If there's anyone to score, I do think it will be him because I think Kansas City, like McDuffie's going to follow Olave around. I don't think that Justin Reed is going to get beat over the top. Yeah. No, that's not happening. Not in Kansas City. So if Taysom Hill's healthy, like he'll have like an ass touchdown screwing somebody's parlay. Yep. But Kamara should score. 5, Kenneth Walker. What a debut back from injury.
This guy's so fucking good.
Yeah, he is. And he's going to win people a lot of leagues if he plays the next 10 games straight. Hands down, he's going to put up 20-plus points probably 8 out of those 10 weeks, no doubt, especially with the way that they run the ball. 4, Jordan Mason. I just think, like, hey, like, McCaffrey ain't coming back anytime soon. He got Achilles tears pretty much in both of his Achilles. Lewis texted last week. He's like, this is the only injury I've ever heard that gets worse every week. It really does.
Week. That's such a good fucking game. Yeah. He's even bitter balling out in Germany right now.
Yeah,
so.
And honestly, it doesn't seem like anybody has any idea. And San Francisco seems like really nonchalant about it all, which is like concerning to an extent. So I'm like, what the hell is like going on in San Francisco?
It's not good.
Not good at all. 3, Jacobs going against the Rams. 2 is Kyron. So in that game, I just think there's going to be a lot of grounds. Like LaFleur and McVay play very similar type of offenses and defenses. I expect it to be low scoring and just gritty. Both these guys should get over 100. And both probably the likely candidates to score unless Reed busts out some crazy shit. And 1 is D-Hen. Like, how could I not, after 380 yards of offense from this dude the past 2 weeks, not have him at 1? I think it's going to be a much slower game. I'm not hoping that. I have D-Hen, playing him with extreme confidence. But the Bengals can't come out here and be beat by them by Derrick Henry.
Yeah, they can't choose to like shut down Zay Flowers.
Yeah,
they have to shut down Derrick
Henry.
Like
they need to play man across the board in the secondary. Like if Aguilar's beating your third corner, then like so fucking what? There needs to be 9 dudes in that box, no doubt.
100%. Love that take. Steve at 10, I got Aaron Jones. I agree. I think he gets in the end zone this week. Thinks he has a good game out there in London. 9 right above him, I got Breece Hall. Same exact thing. Not very confident with him being a top 5 guy this week, but he's going to get some points. 8, I have Kamara. So again, these are guys that we're usually seeing really high up there, but I don't like the matchups this week. I'm a big matchup guy, so I'm going with Kamara at 8, Jordan Mason at 7. The volume is there, the target share is there.
Low.
Like, we'll see when we get there.
Well, you still got guys like Bijan in your rankings and stuff like that. So
I do. So I got, I didn't lose all this stuff. 7, Jordan Mason. 6, Josh Jacobs. I think he's gonna scamper all over the place. Big game for Josh Jacobs this week. Big game for Green Bay, like we said. 5, Kyron Williams. I think he's just gonna have a little bit better than Josh Jacobs. So that's gonna be a lot of heavy running back featured game. 4, Bijan. 3, Jonathan Taylor. I have in there. So I was reading the reports, and for some reason the Colts feel a little bit more confident than I guess an ankle injury would generally show. So I did put him in there at 3 because, this dude just gets a ton of volume, and he's a super talented guy. So if he plays, he's in there. If he's not, Sermon's not the 3 guy, but he's gonna get some points.
If JT's on, like if he gets the active tag, you're playing him. The only thing you have to be wary about is this dude going to be active to have the 10 most important runs of the game,
right,
or is he going to be active to have a regular load? The high ankle sprain, I feel like, is a little bit better than the low ankle sprain. Not a doctor, I just kind of feel that way, but just having ankle sprains myself.
Yeah.
But that's the reasoning is I just don't think he's going to play, which is why he's off. But
sure, totally get it. 2, I got King Henry, and at 1, I'm sorry, it's Kenneth Walker, man. I just think he scampers. Dude, this guy is seriously one of the most talented running backs in the NFL, and when he stays healthy, it's every fucking time. You cannot stop this dude.
No doubt.
So it's Kenneth Walker at 1. Guy's a monster.
No doubt. Coming over to the wide receivers, 20 at the rank. Well, first I have 4 wide receivers, just missed the rankings. Feel extremely confident about playing them as wide receiver 2s this week. Keenan Allen, feel good about Keenan this week. Terry McLaurin.
Also missed.
Lazard.
Okay.
In London, and Shakir. Shakir just missed the rankings. I know we got a little bit banged up, but that's not why he's not on the rankings. Just kind of like the options this week at wide receiver. 20. This is the Jacksonville wide receiver. It's Kirk or BTJ. Whichever one you own, you should be playing kind of with confidence. I couldn't really pick. They're both seeing 10-plus targets a game. You have to love that. Brian Thomas really seems to have all the skill set to be a number 1 wide receiver. But Kirk is still there doing his full role. So can't negate him. I think they're very on par with each other, if you want me to be honest, which is why they're sharing a spot. Not sharing a bed. 19. 19. Jaden Reed going against the Rams. I expect them to do some funky dunky type of stuff with him to get open and the point of the catch, he's tremendous. Running in space, he's tremendous. I think he kind of improved his route running in the offseason, so love that for him. 18, Deontay Johnson. Dude's balling. Yeah. It's just crazy to me that this team is that different with one guy. Andy Dalton, and that's a veteran that's probably going to go and make $18 million as a backup quarterback somewhere else.
Yep.
It's absolutely crazy. 17, DJ going against his old team, Carolina. Yeah. Have to have him in the rankings this week. I think Keenan Allen still plays well. I think Odunze plays well. I can't imagine Caleb Williams having a bad game, but I do just think he's a guy that's going to look to eat this week, no doubt. 16 is where I have Pickens going against Dallas Sunday Night Football. Like I said, a silent 113, 4 catches, doesn't get in the end zone, but enough to impact the game, no doubt. 15, Olave going against Kansas City. Didn't love the positioning because I know he's getting the McDuffie treatment, but he also, something to keep in mind, is creating the most separation on routes ran throughout the NFL this year. So that's a pretty tremendous stat, and it's by 20%. So it's not like he's barely open. This dude is wide open.
He's cooking everything.
Yeah. And it's actually crazy to me that he doesn't touch the ball more than he does, but it's just let's give the ball to Taysom fucking Hill.
Every time.
Yeah.
They love it, dude. They literally I think they see how mad people get in fantasy football and they go, fuck you.
Yeah. No, I really don't understand it. 14, I have Garrett Wilson. I can't imagine that he struggles again this week. I know that they have Gilmore. I think he gets in the end zone. He might not eclipse 100, but he'll get you 10 fantasy points this week. I know it's not the most ideal scenario. Some owners could have Tyreek Hill and Garrett Wilson. You have to play those guys. Tyreek didn't make the rankings.
Tyreek also did not make my rankings.
Waddle didn't
I'm
make
sick
the
and tired of putting him
rankings.
here at 20.
Yeah.
And he's still scoring 4.
Yeah, no, absolutely. 13 is where I have Cooper. Don't love it. Washington is. I know that they've given up to wide receivers, but Judy also is heavily involved in this offense, so that's something I just kind of want to keep in mind here. 12 is where I have Diggs going against Buffalo. I'm interested to see if he's going to be able to eat versus his own team. I can't imagine that they're going to say hey, we're going to lock down Stephon Diggs and let Nico Collins beat us.
Bro, he is you might be dead on balls accurate with receiving yards. This dude is fucking balling.
Bro, I'm telling you, I'm having a good year with the predictions, dude. No doubt in my mind. Feel really confident about it right now. And 11, probably a little bit lower than where you might have him. I just think no matter what corner you put on him, it's going to be a real tough matchup. This is where I have Malik Neighbors. You put Reek on him, you put Witherspoon on him, Julian Love over the top. It's really tough, and it's bro, if you doubled him the entire game and asked Wandale and Singletary to beat you, they're not going to beat you.
They're not. They really aren't. I like the take. At 20, I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson. Again, think he's... I don't know about end zone this week, but I think he's going to get some points. They got to try and get him involved, because with all this targeting Lazard the whole time thing, he's got to be dude, I thought Rodgers would come in here and my game was going to elevate, not bust. So I got 20 Garrett Wilson. 19, it's not Shakir, it's Keon Coleman.
Wow. That's a bold take.
Dude, it's a bold take, but I like the way Buffalo started to involve him last week, and I like the contested catches that this kid can make. So I think he's going to have a pretty good week. I'm going Keon Coleman here, and I think that he's not getting the Stingley treatment. I think he's going to be the guy that's going to be able to go up and get it over, if a safety ends up covering or if the corner 2 ends up covering him. 18, I got Drake London. Talented guy. I think he's going to get targets. 17, Deontay Johnson, like you said, the dude is balling. He is the option over there. What was I thinking with Adam Thielen?
My guy.
My guy. Got the end zone though. 16, I got Debo. A lot of mouths to feed on that, and I just think Kittle's just primed to absolutely cook this Arizona Cardinals team, so I think that just takes a little bit from Debo's share. 15, Mike Evans. It's lower than I think I've had Mike Evans all year. I just don't think it's his week. I think he's going to have some points. I think he's a top 15 fantasy guy this week, but I just don't think he's going to be getting in the end zone like we've been seeing.
Thursday night's real messy.
Really, really messy. 14, I got Amari Cooper. Tough defense. Or it's an easy defense to go against. Tough guy to cover. But I don't think he's, putting up one of those 40-point weeks against Washington. 13, George Pickens. So, again, we're in a similar spot there. I think he's going to have a pretty good week. 12, I do have Zay Flowers. I think that if they are going to be forced to throw the ball, Zay Flowers is the guy that he really likes to throw to a lot. So, I think Zay gets the targets. I think he has a lot of receptions. Might get in the end zone. Don't think he has over 100 yards, but I think he has, 8 catches for 70 and a touchdown.
That's low.
Oh,
big week from Zay.
Okay.
10 catches, $120 TD.
Yeah, you're going to go nuts when we get to my top 10. So, it's all right. 11, Chris Godwin. I mean, he shares with Mike Evans, but he is getting catches. He's getting touchdowns. He's getting yards. Super talented guy. Chris Godwin here at 11.
10, MHJ against San Francisco. The best I could give him. The best I can give him this week. It really was not that I tried to have him a little bit more back in the rankings, but I just kind of feel like if I'm San Francisco and they're an intelligent group of people there, they're going to be like, we're not losing to this guy. So is Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch going to beat you? Probably not. So that's going to be an interesting game script, but I do think if he has one-on-one coverage that Kyler is feeling very comfortable with getting him the ball in those scenarios. 9, T. Higgins. I think T. Higgins is going to have a big game. Had a bunch of yards this past week. Think he's due for a touchdown. Probably a guy I'll be taking to score a touchdown this week, and those will be pretty good odds. Right above him, 8, Zay Flowers in that same game. I think, like I said, Lamar's going to have to pass the ball, and I do think that Zay usually gets a shit ton of receptions. I know Aguilar catches the ball. I know Bateman gets it. I like likely to make those big plays, and that's typically not what happens. Your tight end isn't typically stretching the field, but that's what happens. Yeah,
he has that kind of mold too, and it's it has just completely wiped away Mark Andrews from the offense.
Absolutely, and I don't even feel like Zay's a guy that just catches the screen passes either. I feel like he's a very intermediate route type of guy. Usually most of his routes I'd say are around 12 to 15, and he's a guy that eats on the yak yard. So
he is great when he catches the ball too. Like the yards after catch is great. He's very shifty. He's a very hard guy to tackle. It's very Baltimore Ravens-esque with the way the team's set up right now.
Absolutely, and that's why I don't think that they're going to make a big move for a wide receiver. 7 and 6. This is the pair of San Francisco wide receivers. Probably the first time they're both making the top 10 this year. I do have Debo at 7 and Ayuk at 6. I know Debo didn't look 100% healthy last week. Didn't have to. And I know Ayuk has kind of had some games, but also had a couple yips. Not good to see, but everyone kind of gets right versus Arizona. So I am expecting that to be the case here. Yeah. 5, lowest spot I've had him on the year. Nico Collins against Buffalo. I can't see him having a $160 against these guys. I think he can catch the ball 8 times for 80 yards. But honestly, like CJ likes throwing him like that option. No, I don't even want to say option. He likes giving him the opportunity to go and make a play down the field, and he does it consistently. And he does in the end zone too. So I kept Nico Collins. I'm in first place in this league. I kept Nico Collins as a 16th round keeper.
That's money. That's Scooch is like 12, I think.
Bro, it's crazy, and that's the value of waiver players on in the league. So
yeah, I would have had Jaden Reed for a 16th, but everyone told me to go fuck myself.
Yeah. You guys say we a chest one. Tell them to go fuck themselves.
I get overruled. And then I throw a fit.
Yeah.
I'm being crazy.
4 is where I have JJ in the London game. Guy that can definitely be top 3. We got a bunch of good names on the list this week, but going against Sauce, this is still a great spot, very respectable, and he's been seeing the end zone a ton. You called Alexander a little bit earlier in the week last week, and that was a late add to the injury report, so that was a good call, and that's why he had a good week. 3, CD going against Pittsburgh. I don't see them having a cornerback that can lock him up, if you want me to be honest. I think CD's due for a 200-yard game, and I think that there's no other opponent to do it against. I understand they're going to get to Dak so quick, but I just don't think that they have a corner that can stay with him. And look,
you can also throw it like behind the line to CD, and like they can block and he'll make a play.
Like my whole thing is like put Zeke and Dowdle and just literally chip TJ Watt every single time. If you do that for the entire first half, he's going to be gassed for the second half, and that would just be tough to keep up with. Like I know you have Highsmith, I know you have some guys in the interior defensive line, but you have to find a way to dink and duck to make that Pittsburgh Steelers defense tired, and that's what the Colts did. Yep, 2, DK Metcalf is balling, bro. The Giants are hurt at the cornerback position. Expect him to continue to play his game, and this really does look like the best DK season to date. So I'm happy that we're not hearing him complaining. I'm happy the Binky's gone. You're not complaining about DK, so that's a great thing. That means he's playing well. And when I got Jamar Chase, bro, I think he's going to have a huge week against Baltimore.
Love that. Here I am sitting trying not to be biased. Because I got him. I drafted him real early in one of my leagues, just thinking he was going to be the guy, and he's played well so far.
It was weird last week that he only had like 3 catches, but still.
Dude, the catch he made that he just took to the house was nuts. Also, Carolina's tackling was super lackluster, but that was a sick play.
That was a better play by him than anything else, but for sure.
10, I got Pittman. If Flacco's playing, dude, I like Flacco finding the wide receiver run and having them have a game. So I'm going with Pittman here at 9.
Pittman in the 10 is crazy.
Oh, boy, you're going to hate this one. Actually, I think you're going to like it. It's like a hot take, one of them that you like, and it's Brian Thomas Jr. at 9.
Oh, I'm all about it.
Dude, he is such a monster, and I think it's him over Kirk. I think he's their wide receiver 1 at this point, and I think he's going to be one of those rookies that we were talking about in bold predictions that will get over 1,000 receiving yards.
Yeah.
So Brian Thomas is the guy here, gonna ball out. 8, I got Marvin Harrison. Couldn't really get him much higher. I think it's going to be tricky, but the volume and the way Kyler feels comfortable with him, I'm going to put him in there. 7, Jaden Reed.
Wow.
Dude, this Rams defense.
There's no way.
You can put points on this Rams defense, dude.
There's no way you have Malik Neighbors in your rankings still.
I do.
Wow. I'm impressed. You got a lot of names.
Got a lot of names.
Go ahead. Keep going with Jaden, though.
Jaden Reed is a fucking Absolutely. Dude, they do, like you said, like they do. He'll rush a touchdown, he'll catch a touchdown. When Jordan Love needs a play and they haven't specifically designed it for Dontavian Wicks, they'll get it to Jaden Reed because that's the guy he's comfortable with. This guy is a legit wide receiver. If he is not starting in your lineup and you have him, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
He is my wide receiver 2 right now behind Jamar Chase. I would have him as my wide receiver 1 if I didn't have Jamar Chase, though.
Woo!
This guy is a fucking monster. 6, I got Jettas. I think traveling's going to be a little tricky. He's a top 10 guy. He's always going to be. Getting the Sauce treatment might get a little bit tricky. He had Jair, and now he has Sauce. At some point, he's going to get a little tired. There's going to be a game where
Jair was out last week.
Right, that's right. We literally just said that. But like, he has, I think, this Sauce.
Sauce still got the sauce.
Tricky.
Yeah.
I think he's going to score points. That's why he's here at 6. But I do think he's going to have a little bit less catches. He might have a big play that carries that. Don't know that I love him getting in the end zone this week. Like we said, it's going to be Aaron Jones. That's the guy we're going with. 5. I mean, he is low, but I was just trying not to be biased. But I love where you got him. This is where I have Chase. So
Okay.
I think Chase is going to have a great week.
That is low.
It is low, but you know what? Thank you for the confidence. 4, I got Malik Neighbors.
Wow.
This dude just kills, man. I don't care who you're putting on him to cover. Like, dude, he kills.
Pump me up, John. Pump me up.
Seriously, doesn't matter what you do. Like, he's going to get 10 catches, or he's going to be targeted at least 12 times.
Yeah.
I love that volume share, and I love the fact that he is the only thing going on that Giants offense. If you want to move down the field, Dable knows that. Even Daniel Jones has figured that out.
For
Why
sure.
don't you just find Malik Neighbors?
And Daniel Jones is blowing away Jalen Hurts in the statistical category at the quarterback position right now.
Yep, 100% agree. Listen, I love Jalen Hurts as a guy. I like him as a player, but listen, all this talk about him being one of the top 5 skilled quarterbacks in the league, I just don't think it's accurate. I don't think it is. You go out there and maybe, who knows, I don't think that the coaching in Philadelphia has them all fucking reeled in. I think they're all over the place over there, and I think that's what's going to kill their chances. Again, they're going to go 9-8. I don't know if that wins the division for them anymore. So we'll see. Washington might be able to pull that out.
Bro,
Dallas isn't.
Washington's going to win that division,
Really,
and that's a crazy call.
Crazy call. Good. That's when you're going to like this.
I hate to say it, but
That's
I
when
do
you go,
this shit.
We'll
Yeah.
throw a fucking parade. That's what we're fucking Washington.
A parade for me being right, not a parade for Washington. We can't do that as a Giants fan.
Right.
Yeah.
For Jaden Daniels?
If he was a Giant.
Yeah, I know, right?
Should have been, man. Should have been.
I know. Steve, 3, I got CD. Still think he's going to be, like, have a good game. Like, it's CD Lamb. Even though I do think the Steelers take it, I still think he has a good game. 2, I got Nico. 1, I got DK.
Okay. Whew. What a week, man.
What a week, baby.
Yeah, we still got a lot to talk about. So I have some questions here, but I know the power rankings are coming up. I know you guys are all real excited for that. So I think we just save the rest of the conversation for the power rankings.
Let's go to the power rankings,
Let's
Steve.
go. You guys know the deal, man. Best of luck in your fantasy this week as we get into the close to the middle of the season. And I hope you guys are all winning some money because we're on a heater, baby. Let's go. You guys know the deal. Peace, love, 5 stars, nothing less. Get your pink.